Hi guys, welcome back to Underwater Astrology, doing the astrology for the week of January 23rd to January 30th, 2024. We have a beautiful new moon that we just had January 11th in Capricorn. Then we have the full moon coming up this week, 2 days after January 23rd. On January 25th, we have the full moon in Leo, in 5 degrees Leo. So that's going to be on a Thursday. And we can look into that a bit deeper. The Sabian symbol of Leo, 5 degrees. And I use SabianSymbols.com. I think it's a great website, but it just reading the general forecasts, it's talking about a symbol shows situations that tend to be rock solid, steady, and established. You may find that the natural structure of your situation is, on the one hand, carefully developed over time, but and in parentheses there is a history here, but it's right on the edge of a deep chasm. There seems to be no going back. Forward is the only way out, and the solution may to be jump into the void. It may be a lonely journey, but you could only find new depths of experiences that you could only imagine. Still situations may look unchanging with your back against the wall, but time may tell a different story. The choice, taking chances or standing still, old structures and deep hazards, doing a Geronimo, extreme sports, risk-taking, great heights, waterfalls, monuments, giant leaps of faith required in order to move forward. And the shadow is obviously at the very end. It says painting yourself into a corner, not being able to retrace one's steps, erosion, cracks appearing, feeling like life is impossibly hard, no safety nets. So there are some phrases I want to zoom in on. So like one phrase being like, but it's right, like almost like when they talk about that deep chasm, I think it's like, yeah, I think it's interesting that they brought that up, and they also talked about doing a Geronimo, and I think there is something to be said about kind of being fixed in your beliefs. Like I think that despite everything in Geronimo means sacred, but it's also Geronimo was known for his supreme bravery, fighting against both Mexico and the United States to protect the Apache lands. So next day, Albuquerque kept his promise, and after exiting the plane on his first jump stream, Geronimo, I think it's a skydiving thing. Geronimo was a part of the Chiricahua Apache community, one of the several divisions within the Apache tribe of North America. Located in the Southwest, the Apache people resisted colonization of their lands by both Spanish and North American peoples. So yeah, I think, and honestly, like there's so many different ways of interpreting that, but I think, to be honest, I think this full moon's like a celebration of relationships, and also like this feeling like with the number 5 representing change, but also 5 in astrology rules Leo already, and then, the full moon happening on the 25th, 2 and 5 is 7. That's all about Libra, partnerships. I think it's almost like this culmination of realizing how far you've gotten in your relationships, and almost being like, but there's still more to come. And I think that sometimes veering off completely is like, the completes could be very dangerous, especially when some of these relationships are really faded. And I think for some of you, there will be a much more faded relationships, especially after the completion of that Fortuna cycle we had with the Sun in Capricorn. But Mars is in Capricorn still here this week, telling me that by that full moon, that I feel like there will be this feeling of like, almost like you want to celebrate, but almost that you have to keep a steady momentum to understand the complexities of the nature of the relationship. And I think it's almost like, keep going. I think if anything, the full moon's validation to keep going, to keep investing in these relationships. So let's move forward. Uranus went in retrograde August 28th, 2023, and then Uranus is now coming direct on the 27th, 2 days after the full moon. So that will be on the Saturday, and I think even upon Uranus, stationing direct, there will still be 2 weeks of shadow. So there will be this feeling of, why don't I feel like things are like maturing the way I want to? It's almost like you're going through such deep spiritual character development on the inside that I think by this point, if not already, you're creating enough momentum to have some validity here of all the character development you've done. Maybe there's something you do that's very grounding for you to realize, I have to validate myself, that inner child. And yeah, I think it's really interesting how the body communicates, like, okay, like maybe you're going in the completely wrong direction, or I think with the Libra here that you will be put into balance either way. Like, I don't think you can go too far off into either corner. I think you'll be brought right back in the middle and right back on the body here with Capricorn. Because Capricorn, to me, is all about longevity, and that's telling me with Mercury and Capricorn here that it really is about thinking about your body and thinking about the longevity of that. I think moving forward, for Aries rising, Aquarius rules the 11th house. So when Pluto's coming into Aquarius, so Pluto went into Aquarius on January 20th, right? So Pluto's in Aquarius from January 20th, 2024 through till September 1st, 2024, and then it goes in retrograde and it goes back into Capricorn. Around September 1st, it enters Capricorn again. But for that 9-month period, we will be going through a lot of empowerment of how humanity is moving. And I think that it's going in exciting directions. And I think for Aries rising, it's ruling your 11th house. So maybe there's a lot more energy and clarity around finding empowering groups of people. And Capricorn is ruling your 10th house. So with the Mars here, I think it's like important to focus on your career here, Aries rising. But I think really what I feel for you guys is that, are you ready to switch things up in like how you value yourself? Because when Uranus comes out of direct, maybe there will be a new valuing system that requires you to be more in the prefrontal cortex of what you're manifesting. Like, it's less instinctual, more like, okay, like I'm noticing all these feelings. Chiron and Aries, right on your first house. I'm noticing all these feelings, and they're relatable. And I don't have to completely change personality to be understood. The North Node's in my first house. It's almost like I just initiate things and things follow, and then the South Node's in Libra, ruling the 7th house. And also this week, we go from 19 degrees Libra to 17 degrees Libra in the week. So we're moving 2 degrees in the South Nodes and North Nodes. And so for the North Node Aries starts off this week in 19 degrees. And that's all about this degree we've been dealing with for a while, right? All about going into more clearer sense perception. Like, we've done all the philosophy from the summer when Chiron was in retrograde. Last year we were doing all the shadow work with having less support with our healing journey. But now when it went direct, everything is just a lot quicker, a lot easier. And yeah, I think that also that was the degree we start off the week, and then by the end of the week we're going back into Aries 17 degrees North Node. So that's going to be about, the symbol shows that quiet withdrawal might be just what you need, right? So it's all about understanding that, like, another phrase here is relationships that have a quiet knowing, not wanting to compromise because of social expectations. I think it's like, when I see it, I see the Grand Canyon. I see like North Node Aries coming down as we get to the teens of the North Node Aries. I see this wisdom just getting, it's not necessarily that the wisdom is any less accurate than the wisdom from last year, but it's the perception of the layers here. It's not just one layer, it's many, many, many layers of integration. And also, North Node Aries is now, we can apply it for South Node Libra. So South Node Libra will be starting off in 19 degrees. So this degree is all about counseling others to help improve their lives, alert to intrusion or paranoid, the need for light, spying, ambushes, psychology. Make sure that there is no undermining of faith by indulging in suspicions that are ungrounded in reality. Yeah, and it's also talking about, the symbol implies that you may feel like you have wronged or something that has taken from you. Often there's no real way of finding who or what is the cause. It often happens that the feeling of loss or being taken advantage of are mostly in your own mind, making it difficult to trust or even to know how to trust. So we start off with that degree, and then we obviously change by the end into 17 degrees South Node Libra, which is all about memories and peaceful contemplation, writing a memoir as being a spectator rather than a participant, disconnection from the past, nostalgia, safe ports or harbors, retiring. The symbol speaks of the necessity in life of finding time for quiet recollection. You may feel that the stormy, unpredictable, emotional life is something you can or need to leave behind to opt out. But like the sea captain, there will always be the frustration and the desire to return and get back amongst it. An objective and calm understanding of life's expectations is available, but also know when to rest and when to be active and work, as merely looking out at the world from a confined perspective and feeling like you have no choice but to sit and watch is unlikely to bring the world to you. And the shadow is copping out, escaping from reality, relying on past experiences, refusing to join in, staring at lost opportunities as time's gone by, frustration, boredom. So I feel like this is the degree for a lot of signs, right? But for you guys, it really is, it really is gonna be for Aries rising, this whole restructuring I see happening. And because I'm giving you the longest reading, I think it will be, you guys are going to be the leaders of how we restructure things. You guys can choose if you want to be a part of this or want to be a part of that. Like, you guys set the rules and everybody follows you because you're the first sign. So if you start emanating light, everybody runs to you. It's like that. It's so quick. And I think that this week you do start restructuring things, and it takes you a minute, but then you're like, yeah, I actually really do need to focus on myself because I feel like I am the leader. You know, I am empowering myself, and that is the authentic me. For Taurus rising, I think this week really is about the empowerment of your career, right? And then also realizing that because Pluto and the Sun are both here in Aquarius and there is a conjunct, it will be about understanding, like, are you ready for those kinds of new revelations on humanity and getting out and meeting people? Because Uranus is coming out of retrograde here, and it's going to be direct by January 27th. So it will really be about grounding and maybe getting out of too much space and really implementing those healthier ideas. At the same time, I think for every sign this week, it really is taking more time for yourself to restructure things. I think that when Pluto goes into Aquarius, it will really be about setting parameters of how much energy can you really give, you know, like before you feel like there is no you, like you're invisible. And I think Taurus is one of the kindest, zodiac signs, and with Chiron in the 12th, I think it really will be putting in those healthier belief systems and supporting the collective so that people feel connected to you even when you do need time for yourself. For Gemini rising this week, I really do think it will be about understanding that you just had Pluto and Capricorn in your 8th house, you know, and now Pluto's in Aquarius in your 9th house. I feel as though some of you will go on this deep journaling experience or deeply beautiful artistic journey this week, and you're seeing visions about it because Pisces here rules your 10th house, so Neptune's here. So you're very dreamy. Your career life is very dreamy. You almost dream things into existence. It's very beautiful. And I feel like this week it's really taking time out to dream, you know, what you've learned on your journeys in the past and where you want to go. And I think you guys, Gemini rising, you guys are restructuring yourself for where you want to go. And I think you guys do have positive planets like Neptune that can support you. For Cancer rising, this week it's really about understanding Pluto's in Capricorn in your 7th house from 2008 till 2023. And that's when we had the first Pluto entrance into Aquarius. So you've had 15 years of Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house. Empowerment through relationships. Some relationships did not make it to Pluto in Aquarius, but that doesn't mean that there's anything at loss. I think for any of you, it's realizing that you shouldn't have any hatred towards anyone by this time. You should realize that some people are just not for you, and realize that also some things are not for you. Your relationship with some things. And I think that it is important to make your life about people and surround yourself with the right people with going into Pluto with Pluto in Aquarius and Sun in Aquarius in conjuncting Sun in Cancer, rising Cancer. It will be about empowering the other person and realizing that maybe there is something to do with this transit will be something to do with intimacy with more people. You're seeing the psyche of people, and that's really exciting, and you feel empowered by it, the psyche of humanity. But then you get more specific because Taurus is ruling the 11th house, and it goes out of Uranus retrograde. So now you guys are able to have an exciting friend group, or maybe you feel like you can relive some experiences with your friends, and then you feel more intimate and more comfortable in that aspect. Pisces, Neptune in Pisces is ruling your 9th house, so it will be about understanding that this week for every zodiac sign, it's about restructuring. Okay, I was a little outgoing, and that did this to me, and that did that to me, but what happens when humanity starts to recollect themselves when Uranus goes out of retrograde, and it is a shadow period for 2 weeks. And for you guys, I think that with that beautiful Uranus and Taurus, it is a nice aspect with Pisces. Those two signs do go nicely together. It's actually a beautiful trine. But I think that you guys will be working with some issues of just understanding that you may have wanted to travel to certain places, right? And maybe you can't go right now, but just jotting it down and having a vision board in your house over the next few weeks would help. For Leo rising, this week, Pluto's in Aquarius with the Sun conjuncting. It's ruling the 7th house. This week is really about understanding life is sweet. You make it sweeter, but because of your big heart and your generosity and your pride and protection, but in a lot of ways, are you giving yourself to the wrong kinds of personalities so quickly that you don't have any energy for yourself? And like I've been saying to all the 12 zodiac signs, this is the week that I see people coming in more, humanity coming in more. And I do think when Pluto goes in your 7th house, after being in 15 years in Pluto in your 6th house, it will be more about understanding that, you know, you have to realize there is hierarchy even in your partnerships. It's not all just like one partnership. I think that will be that relationship between Pisces ruling your 8th house with Neptune there and being like, yeah, like, don't let it all just go to dust really quickly. Like, realize that you have to study the layers of hierarchy here because we're still with Mars in Capricorn, right? Mercury and Mars is still in Capricorn. And that's telling me that you guys, we're still working with hierarchy. There's personal planets and there's outer planets. There's people for your personal life and there's people for your outer life. And even in your outer life, there are boundaries. And I think this week, you guys do start to restructure that better. For Virgo rising, this week, I really do think for you guys, it's about understanding that Pluto was in your fifth house for 15 years. How have you been empowered in your love life? And how can that inspire you on your journey for your daily routine, for your daily routine? Maybe you start a new workout regimen, you're like really inspired. The Sun and Pluto are both in your sixth house this week, and I think it's really about understanding that, similar to Leo, life is sweet, but you guys are really working with a lot of spiritual development with your belief systems, and that's bringing you to connect with more divine energy here, and that is really high, Virgo rising. And I think that that path is really necessary for you to stay in. With Taurus still here with Jupiter and Uranus going direct, it's like anchoring your belief systems and seeing how it actually creates more comfort. For Libra rising this week, I really think for a lot of you guys it will be about understanding Pluto's coming in your fifth house. You know, Pluto was just in your fourth house for 15 years in Capricorn. Now it's in your same element, air, and you guys are now going to have this whole fun energy of the sun. You guys are now going to have this whole fun energy of the sun and Pluto working together. And that really is about like being okay, like now the sun and Pluto's in my fifth house, but how can I still remain chill and calm? Because I'm the great harmonizer of the zodiac. You know, like even though it's really exciting, all this new love energy, inner child energy, fun energy, remember that Pisces is still in the sixth house. So you need to be careful about partying too much, because on some level you still need to be idealizing your most ideal work routine, because this Neptune and Pisces transit is timed. It's not going to be forever. We're wrapping up Neptune and Pisces in 2025. So that's when we start the Neptune and Aries transits. So it really will be about understanding like some stuff is timed in your life. Like you can't go too far there to the left, too far to the right. Like you still have to be the great harmonizer. And with all this love energy, I see you guys, finding balance in how to negate that. And I think this week you're restructuring all this new lovey-dovey energy, and that's really exciting, Libra rising. For Scorpio rising this week, it's really about resting, recouping. Libra is here in your 12th house in the South Node, telling me that you guys are just coming more in and making more time for the observation, right? So because we have North Node Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. So I feel like a lot of you guys are just like, well, I can't be like too intense with everything. And I think you guys are realizing, I'm working really hard, and sometimes I need to balance out and rest and take time to drift into the infinite. And that's when you guys really bring back in more wisdom, when you start meditating and doing yoga. And I see this week you making more time for yourself to do those things. Pluto is entering Aquarius in your fourth house, and Pluto was just in your third house for 15 years in Capricorn. Now it's in your fourth house. Now the sun's there conjuncting Pluto, so now you guys are empowered on where you're from and your spiritual heightened intuition and your soul tribe. And I think I find you guys being a better leader and later this year, and I find you guys working through those structures this week. For Sagittarius rising, I think this week's going to be beautiful. We have the sun here and Pluto here in your third house in Aquarius. The sun, we have, for Sagittarius rising, we have the sun and Pluto here, in your third house. And I think you guys are just like really at your heightened wisdom. So Sun and Pluto here are conjuncting in your third house in Aquarius. To put very simply, I think you guys are already thinking very long term, which is exciting. I feel a shift in Sagittarius rising. I think you guys are shifting and noticing things more, and you guys are really going deep. I think that's really beautiful, and I think that you guys are ahead in certain ways, because you guys are just like embodying almost what Scorpio will come into later this year. But I think you guys are already embodying this kind of leadership of getting out of the emotion of situations and in completely detaching from negative situations, which was my advice last year. And I do feel like Sagittarius rising has changed. So congratulations. Keep on that. Keep on that positivity. Keep on that enlightenment energy I feel from you guys, because I think that it's come to the point where people can just like look at your aura or feel your energy and they're like, yeah, you have changed. And it is really, I'm really happy you did, and you held the vibration of protection, or the vibration of wisdom, or the vibration of knowing and spreading the wisdom, the fire, in a healthy way. You just had Pluto wrap up in Capricorn somewhat for 15 years in your second house, all about value systems. And now it's coming in your third house, telling me that maybe I see you guys getting better at teaching, getting better at communication, getting better at thinking your psyche here. And that's really exciting. I think that Sagittarius and the North Node are very easy, because the North Node's in Aries this year in your fifth house. And I think for a lot of you guys, we'll be focusing on love and healing your inner child and your relationship to love and creative projects. But it's also important to realize that this week, a lot of the other zodiac signs are coming in. They're huddling up and creating more time for themselves. That's what I've been telling all the other zodiac signs. So I'm telling it to you guys too. I think because of the Sabian symbols of the South Node and North Node shifts 2 degrees, there will be a big shift this week in the collective. And I think that you guys probably already know this. And I think that the amazing thing about you guys is that you guys are already embodying Libra in the 11th house. Like, you guys are already embodying the energy that you need to come into. You guys are already aligning with your higher self. But don't forget that there is a lot of Martian energy here. There is a lot of competition. How are you guys going to deal with all that fire? Being a fire sign is coming back, yes, into the 11th house, and making it about, being charming with your high societies. If you're in a golf club, maybe you get new shoes for your golf club. Something so simple. Maybe you're in a yacht club. You get new boat shoes. Maybe you teach science. Maybe it's about, you get a new coat. Like, you guys are rocking the wisdom. And I think that maybe if anything this week, you reward yourself. For Capricorn rising, I think this week will really be about understanding that you guys, similar to Sagittarius, are getting really far out, just like ions out, the expression ions out. So I think a lot of you are going to be about just valuing yourself. And almost, it's so funny because it's like you guys are just working through this, I value myself, and you're on this journey of I value myself, because the Sun and Pluto are now in Aquarius, conjuncting in your second house. So it's all about, you guys are really naturally work well with Pluto, because you guys are ruled by Saturn. So both planets are bigger planets. So you naturally are ruled by a bigger planet. Therefore, wherever Pluto is, naturally the goats cling to, because the goats want to be in the bigger planet group. That's just how it goes. And we all know Pluto is empowering, and I think that being the goat, you want to be empowered. And naturally, you will learn to value yourself in ways that will be easier to read by other people. And I think that's what you're working on this year. And I think this week you're going into the structure of I actually do value myself really well. I'm really good at that. But actually, how can I reflect that more in my conversations in little ways that people can learn things from me? And that's you opening up your heart. And that does make it easier for people to read you here, Capricorn rising for this week. For Aquarius rising, it's also very simple this week. You guys are just, getting out of extremes. Even though Pluto's in your sign and the Sun's here conjuncting in your first house, it's going to be about, we don't want to be too wild and untamed. We want to have some kind of ownership of, society and its order. But also, I think this week you're learning how to understand that as the trailblazer of the zodiac sign. How can I come in to myself and feel as though that what I'm doing is actually a lot more rebellious than people make it to be. And I think it's almost like through this whole week is that you realize that you get more confident about who you are and what you're doing. So you start working on marketing and you start working on your empowerment of like being, you know, your ego here. You start crystallizing it. And I think that's really exciting because it's like, oh, like maybe you had all this work done, right? But because Pluto's in Capricorn and for in your 12th house for 15 years, it's felt like you've done all these things, but you don't know how to organize the presentation for marketing. Maybe you have all the contacts. Maybe you have, you know, even the money to buy these new things. But I think this week you're working on, okay, the layers of development here with North Node Aries, South Node Libra. North Node Aries in your third house. The layers of developments of wisdom, of, you know, truly understanding how does my psyche communicate with what I've done. And with Libra South Node ruling your ninth house, what is my belief system about where this could go? And I think you start realizing, hey, like I actually did a lot. I think if somebody just put it in a folder and sent it off, or if I made a marketing campaign for who I am, or I made a press kit for my band for some of you, it could even be like if I, you know, got some photographer contacts and put them in a notepad and screenshotted it and put it in a folder for like marketing, or you started realizing, okay, like for some of you it would be realizing, yeah, I need to wear the mask for everything. You know what I mean? I need to be the, you know, the marketing, I need to do PR, I need to be a tour manager, I need to be the booking agent, you know, I need to be the publicist, and you realize, wait, there's actually a lot I can do here, but it will take time. So I see you guys working through that this year, and I see that because Mars and Mercury are still in Capricorn ruling the 12th house, it will be about understanding, like you're noticing things behind the scene, but it will still take time to like feel like things are showing up. So it's almost like everything's there, but it's almost like when you lose something in your house and you're like, I know it's there, I just don't have the energy to find it. That's almost this week with kind of like contacts and stuff. It's like everybody's there and everybody knows about you, but it's like it's taking time for people to show up. And I think that you guys will figure it out about your career, Aquarius rising, and you do have good energy with all this Capricorn Aquarius combination. For Pisces rising this week, it will really be about understanding that we need structure here, Pisces rising. Like, unflowed water is beautiful, right? And I think you guys need to start thinking about different kinds of water, because sometimes untamed water can be dangerous, right? Like going off with Pluto in Aquarius and Sun in Aquarius conjuncting in the 12th house, it could be like really awesome to do really deep studies on yourself and really tune yourself to the frequency that you want to attain. And with Mars and Mercury here ruling your 11th house, it will be about you can work with these people if you attain these frequencies and you validate them. Taurus in your third house with Jupiter, like Jupiter in Taurus in your third house with Uranus there. And Uranus is coming out of retrograde in your third house. So maybe you guys get more offers this week. Maybe people are like, yeah, like that frequency is high. You know, I want some of that. You know, I want to buy a product from that frequency. And I think you guys start to learn with South Node ruling the 8th house, South Node in Libra ruling your 8th house. I think it will be about understanding, like, there will be times when you come back into yourself and then, like, you could almost send out, like, a vibration with a post, right? And then you achieve it back. But I think this week things start to change. I think people do start to reach out more because Uranus goes out of retrograde and people are starting to have more energy for themselves anyways this week. So that was it for Underwater Astrology. This week's reading for January
like and subscribe
23rd to January 30th. Thank you so much for tuning in.